My friends, you have seen this incident based on sworn testimony. Can you prove that it didn't happen?
Fancy punks!
Lick my plate!
Training!
There'll be 10 minutes where it's like a Steven Soderbergh Ocean's 11 movie. It's all slick and funny and stuff. Then just the most horrific shit imaginable happens.
It's because that's what the fucking movie's about, you asshole.
This fucking guy.
The Tree of Life is freaking awesome.
I'm sure you think it is.
Faded to black.
Oh, you are fucking this up.
Neon slime.
Gangster movie douchebag, well, forget about it, yeah, forget about
Man,
it.
Cinematique, where I like, I like the sets and I like all that stuff.
What did you say?
Cinematique?
I don't know.
Jared Leto, man.
You're the worst, dude. If you ever listen to this, Jared Leto, you are the fucking worst. But I'd rather watch that dude, the English dude, who looks like he's not done yet. This movie is the opposite of getting laid.
Thank you to all our listeners who have been listening to us for over a year now. Subscribe to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and any other platform that has podcasts. Visit our Patreon page, become a Patreon, get more additional content. Again, we appreciate you listening and keep watching those movies. Now, on with the show.
Our entire aim is for the development of our planet.
Same podcast, same guys, new look. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Video Store podcast, sponsored by Golden Ticket Cinemas, The Spot Toys in Newton, Table Rock Creative Group, the pinnacle of video marketing, and Ink Brush Swag, just a cool t-shirt company. Tales from the Video Store, the podcast about the movies you've never heard of, but must see. Now, it's Lee Bridges, Doug Wall, and Garrick Lane. On with the show. Welcome to Tales from the Video Store 108, and we're into the Western block. Of course, it's not really it is a Western block, but it's the Westerns of the 21st century. We didn't do any old stuff. There'll be no Clint Eastwood. There'll be no spaghetti Westerns. There'll be none of this. There'll be no Sergios or Enios.
There will be some Far Eastern Westerns.
Yes.
And a Kangaroo Western.
Yes.
And then a Western.
And then a Nick Cave and after the Bad Seeds didn't grow, Nick Cave just decided to write himself a very good Western, which we will get into in just a bit. How we doing, guys?
Doing great.
I had a shitty week.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, a week ago today, at 5:45 a.m.
Let me guess. The doctors turned you down for estrogen shots.
Shut up. I'm driving to work. I'm jamming out to some music. It's pitch black outside. And the next thing I know, BAM! A fucking deer jumped out of the woods onto the side of my car.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh no! Is it busted up?
Yeah.
Oh man, why didn't you show me? I would have loved to. I gotta look at that. Are you okay? Did it kill the deer?
The deer was smashed, yes. And had the car not killed it, I would have gotten out and curb stomped it. But it was unnecessary. By the time I stopped, it was like just twitching, and I just said, well.
You get what you deserve! You get what you deserve! Look at my car!
Yeah, I was pissed off.
Sure. I'm sure. Now, insurance covers that, though, don't they?
Right. It just was scary as hell. I've never hit anything like that or had anything like that happen, man.
Yeah, we hit one back in November, and that shit sucks.
Yeah. Because I'm driving, and the thing, I'm driving, I hear bang, and then there's like a fucking deer head right beside of my window. And I was like, oh, God. That thing just jumped out of I never saw it. You know, and I was I was probably going about 50, 55, something like that, down a hill, like right there on 16 where the dam is. I got to the bottom, and out of, like, it's really overgrown there for some reason.
Right there at Riverbend Park.
Yes. Yeah. And that thing just, boom.
And it's Baker.
Yeah.
The worst I've ever seen, I was heading to Columbia, South Carolina, and I was on 77, and we were in between. It was in between the metropolitan area after Charlotte and after Rock Hill, And I was in the middle lane, and I saw one come out come out of the woods way off the interstate, but it just kept running, and I watched it, and I looked over, and there was this little Jeep Liberty in the lane, and I just kept watching, and I'm like, that deer is not going to stop, and it didn't, and I've never seen anything like it. She was going probably 75, 80. It exploded. It, like, destroyed her grill of her car, but, like, you couldn't even see the head. Like,
hooves and fur.
Yeah, it like imploded. There was just blood just went, wow. It was crazy. It was almost like a suicide. It was almost like the deer committed suicide, just ran out there. Kamikaze mission, man. Crazy.
His dear girlfriend was cheating on him, and he's like,
watch this! All right, enough of this!
Hey, y'all, watch this. Yeah,
I
no good.
love animals, but fuck deer.
Yeah.
Fuck a bunch. Can we not just? I mean, they don't do anything.
Yeah,
like there's not. I mean, that just
if squirrels were bigger, we would kill them.
Exactly.
Deers are big. Let's kill them all.
Well, that's what people do. People get so bent out of shape about hunters, and I'm like, well, it's a good thing, because if not, they would be everywhere.
Yeah, it's a giant rat with horns that carries Lyme disease. They're not. Fucking people think it's Bambi. I'm not even talking about hunting. I'm just talking about deer assassination. Like, just shoot it and leave it where the fuck it lays.
A deer cleansing, if you will, Lee.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about leaving it in the woods for a warning for the other deers.
Yeah. I like that.
It is good. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
It's all good. I'm glad I didn't die.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't go through the window.
Had it gone through the windshield and I swerved off the bridge.
Did you get out with your pocket knife and cut his head off to get the points?
I wanted to cut it and cut its hide off and make a cape out of it and walk into the woods and make an announcement to all the other fucking deer that this is what's going to happen if they come out at me one more time. But I was in a touch of shock, so I just went on to work.
Okay. Oh, wow, yeah. Well, I don't have any good stories. Lee, you got any good stories for the week?
Last weekend was Bonnie's birthday, and we stayed at the Lake Lure Inn and Spa, and when we were walking around the building, they actually have we didn't stay in this room, but they actually have a Patrick Swayze suite there from when they were shooting Dirty Dancing.
That's pretty cool.
And had I known that, I would have actually booked the Patrick Swayze suite.
Nice. So that place is nice, huh?
Oh, it's very nice. It's very nice. It's the fanciest hotel I've ever been in.
Nice.
All right, so if you don't mind me asking, what's the nightly on that? Is it a 2-night minimum?
It varies. They have. It goes for about $130 for like 200.
That's not too bad. I was thinking like $360. Wow, that's pretty good.
Probably depends on the season.
It depends on the size of the room.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. Awesome. Patrick Swayze. And I wonder if he's got royalties on that room every time he gets checked in. Somebody gets a check.
It ain't Patrick.
Somebody's getting that, buddy. Speaking of careers that are refurbishing, Kevin Smith is making Clerks #3.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm gonna be honest. Look, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan from back in the day, like when Mallrats and Chasing Amy came out and Dogma, and he had that little group, and I was young. I was a young guy, and I liked that kind of humor, and I liked Kevin Smith. He was an independent filmmaker. I loved all that stuff. But as I got older, Clerks 2 came out, Tusk, and things like this, and I don't know, man. I'm not real sure where Clerks 3 has to go. Jay and Silent Bob, I think, was the last one that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I think we all thoroughly enjoyed that, but I think after that, I've just kind of grown. I feel like I've grown out of him.
Right. I totally understand what you're saying. And I actually watched Mallrats a couple weeks ago. I watched about half of it. And it's still pretty funny. But I don't know if the original Clerks I would enjoy it as much if I went back and rewatched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's like Dazed and Confused, Linkletter's Dazed and Confused. I can watch that any day of the week and enjoy it.
Right.
And I can watch, I can probably watch Clerks and Mallrats and all that stuff and enjoy it. I just don't know if I would want to watch Dazed and Confused in 1990 or Dazed and Confused 2. Like, I just don't know Clerks 2 was horrible. Clerks 2 was...
I think a lot of it, what it was, is that there was so much like vanilla comedy in the 90s, like the studio comedies, you know, that when Clerks and Mallrats came out, it was so different, you know. Like, people didn't really talk like that in movies then, you know. Like, the amount of the adult conversations they had in those early movies was very different than what other comedy movies were now. And now, you know, that's not really that different, you know. It's not as interesting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree with that. That Jay and Silent Bob. What was that?
Remember
Strikes Again?
It was like last year or 2019, and it was all right. I actually went into it with like negative expectations, and didn't love all of it. But all in all, I was like, you know what? For this, pretty damn good.
Well, obviously it was pretty successful because that's obviously how Lionsgate was like, all right, here's some money, go do Clerks 3.
I'm shocked that he's even doing this.
Jason Mewes has been sober for like 10 years.
Well,
so
here's the
he's
thing.
not near as funny when he's not on
I
heroin.
like Kevin Smith, but I think he's a smart enough guy and has enough real world experience to where like there's no reason to do this, man.
Yeah, right.
Nobody is clamoring and banging on his door for another Clerks movie. I promise you.
Why did he make something? It's kind of like P.T. Anderson. We were talking about P.T.
It's
Anderson
like evolve,
maturing,
man.
like
Just
go
do something else.
Do
man.
something else.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's going to be like straight to streaming or whatever. Like,
oh yeah.
Like
he's been doing so. But it's what's crazy is he does all this podcast and all that stuff on comic books, but he hasn't done any comic books. I mean, he tried to do that. Didn't he try to do the Superman? He tried to do the Superman years ago.
He wrote Green Arrow and Daredevil for a while in the late 90s. They were actually pretty good. But he hasn't done much he's only written a few comics.
So he's been focusing on all this schmodcast stuff.
Right.
I don't know. You're right. It's like maybe it's time to do something else. Well, we'll see. I mean, only time will tell. I'm sure Kevin Smith won't, like Martin Scorsese's new film with Leonardo, he won't take a year and a half to make it. He'll probably shoot it on Aries 16, over the course of 4 weekends in New Jersey and be done with it.
Yeah.
Other news that came in, and this is probably by the time this comes out, it's old news. But Richard Donner passed away. Huge loss to the movie industry. Huge loss. Which go ahead.
Now, just and what I've read, just one of the nicest guys ever.
Yeah.
You know, like literally, like when sometimes when people die, or you find out not so great things about them. You know, but literally, I've never heard anybody say a bad word about him.
What's your favorite Donner movie?
I would say I'd say it's probably a tie between Superman and Lethal Weapon.
Man, I might have to say The Goonies.
It's Goonies, dude.
Yeah.
It's not even close,
Yeah.
man. I mean, and I love those other movies that you mentioned. I mean, I just watched the Superman movies for the last cast, the OG ones, and loved everything about them. But Goonies, I mean, my God, it's just iconic. And,
for us, for my age.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I read a little article about Chunk. I can't remember the former child actor's name, but, once his kind of acting career waned, which was shortly thereafter Goonies, he may have been in a couple of things, but I'm not familiar with it. Donner brought him in as a production assistant before he went to college. Then he gets into college. Donner gives him, pays for him to go to law school. He's a extremely successful lawyer, and to hear him talk about Richard Donner, he's like, he is in this business you meet all kinds of people, like Lee said, that are shiny on the outside, but they're rotten on the inside. But Donner was never like that. Like, the nicest guy this dude ever knew. He's like, he genuinely was as good as everybody says he is. I think that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And another Donner movie that the people, it's weird, it's such a huge
Truffle
movie,
Shuffle.
but people don't talk about it that much, which is The Omen.
Yeah, that's where he
A lot
got
of
it.
people sort of don't even like sort of think of that as a Richard Donner movie, but it was a huge movie at the time.
That was kind of his, like, first big thing, I believe.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's what got him the job directing Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, the original Omen's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
He did, but he, you know, Lee, like you said, man, in that text, you said, hey, you made a bunch of movies and lived to your 90s. I mean, that's a pretty good life.
Exactly, and he could do like any type of genre. He wasn't like one of these guys like only does like if you gave him a script, he'd get you a movie out of it.
Yeah. A damn good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a huge loss for the movie industry. I watched the Pig trailer. What is happening? Like, is this gonna be good or is this not gonna be good?
I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if good or bad is really even in the mix yet. It's more like, what is it going to really be? You know, I know Cage will do some Rage Cage, I'm sure. You know, but I don't really understand exactly what it's supposed to be yet. I think it's just one of those, and I don't want to know. I just want to watch it and draw my own conclusions, and at that point I'll say what it is and whether it's good or not.
Has anybody seen the trailer for Goodwill Jousting?
No.
The Last Duel with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Adam.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the trailer. I haven't watched it. I saw it was on. I was like, I'm not.
What is that? Where that came from nowhere. And Ben Affleck looks like Julius Caesar. He looks ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you know, it's what, 17th century France, I'm guessing. I don't know. Isn't it based on a true story, or am I wrong on this?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, whatever.
Well,
who's directing
a few months ago, we talked about Ridley Scott, and I talked about how I just sort of give
it is
up.
Ridley. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to know my thoughts on it, just go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
It's Ridley Scott.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's Ridley Scott doing Gladiator kind of stuff. We'll see. He might be able
in France with pistols?
You know, I know, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he should have been the one jumping off the bridge, not his brother. Anyway.
Wow. Well,
that's Garrick coming in hot.
Jeez.
So, anyway.
Rough right there.
Yeah, rough. I'll tell you what's more rough is Wes Anderson, Doug's favorite director, and P.T. Anderson, Garrick's favorite director, are opening new movies in film festivals. I guess Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch opened at Cannes, and P.T.'s opening Soggy Bottom at the New York Film Festival.
Right.
This is crazy. December's going to be loaded with lots of fun podcast talks, I believe.
Hopefully some at least interesting and hopefully well-made movies as well, but we'll see.
We shall see. But maybe a bunch of pretentious douche movies that Lee goes, it's cute and it sucks.
He comes straight in with some fart noises, we'll know. It won't be the first time.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Speaking
of a very good art film that, you know, is one of those that's probably pretty close to an opera of cinema, is this week's film, The Proposition. I think it's safe to say, and it's always more fun on the podcast when one of us hates the movie. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be that week. I think we all think that this one's almost a minor masterpiece.
Yeah, when we were talking about doing westerns, I really wanted to do this one.
You want to introduce it, Lee?
Sure. It's from 2005, directed by John Hillcoat, written by Nick Cave, as Garrick said before. It's an Australian western. Takes place in, I think, the 1880s. And basically, Guy Pearce is this, outlaw in the Australia in the outback, and he's basically captured by Ray Winstone, who is the sheriff of this small town, and given a gun and a horse, and basically he has until Christmas. It's about a week before Christmas to go find and kill his brother, or they're going to hang his younger brother. So basically, he's got to kill one brother to save another one. And the older brother is played by Danny Houston, who is just the fucking devil in this movie. Like, he's amazing. And like it's got a great script. The cast is perfect, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's an art film, but it's very, it is 100%. Like, if you want to look at it as an art film or you want to look at it as just a Western, it is completely successful on both those fronts.
Let me apologize. Maybe I didn't mean art. Maybe more just an independent spirit. Like it's.
No. I mean, you can definitely say it is an art film, but also it's a really good Western.
Yeah, it's great, and it's so simple story. I mean.
Yeah.
It's like a lawman gives proposition to outlaw to go kill his outlaw brother, or his other brother's gonna hang. Cool, and we're gonna set this way back, make it a Western. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like, every scene is great.
Yeah.
Emily Watson is always amazing. I just being the only woman. She's the only woman in this movie. Well, there's one
outside of the girls at the beginning who I guess
main character
were raped.
Yeah. Right. Main character, is Emily Watson's great. Ray Winstone is fantastic. Some of the scenes are very hard to watch. The scene where the spear is like the coolest scene ever. He kind of looks over and sees his dead horse and doesn't realize what's going on, and the next thing you know, it's like this long shot, and you just see the spear go shoo, right through him, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, he's only in the movie like 10 minutes, but John Hurt is great, so great in this movie.
Oh, yeah, he is.
The dialogue at that little dive bar or whatever that place is where Pierce kind of stumbles upon him is just awesome, dude. He's a bounty hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. And just the biggest scumbag you could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
John Hillcoat he shot The Road, which I enjoyed as well. Another kind of, not like The Proposition, but kind of the same. It's like this dread and this like landscape, this very desolate landscape. He's very good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I loved it. I've loved it since it came out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a great movie. And Guy Pearce, it's weird. He's the main character, but he doesn't really say a lot in the movie. It's more like it's like he's just showing you all these different characters.
Yeah.
And then when he comes in the end, he comes in that last scene, and he's just like, no more. Like it's crazy. He's so good in this. He's so underrated. L.A. Confidential.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, Russell Crowe. I mean, stole that movie, but he wouldn't have been able to steal it had Guy not done the undertone of his character. I mean, he's just good. He was good in. He was barely even a. Hold on, we'll wait for Doug's James Brown. What's your bad self? He's hardly a piece in Marie in the I just totally lost the name. Kate Winslet.
The
mayor of Easttown. Excuse me.
But he's great.
But he's great, and he's just this. He's just so good.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in something and been like, that would have been better if somebody else would have played that role. Like, he's just that guy. He's that good.
Yeah.
He's just that good, dude.
Oh yeah. Like there's another John Hillcoat movie, Lawless, with Tom Hardy, which is not near as good a movie as this. But Guy Pearce is so creepy in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he's in that.
Yeah, he's a federal agent, but the only way I can describe it is that he plays it like a gay Dracula. Like, he's just this super pale, effeminate murderer who just happens to be a federal agent.
Yeah.
And if it had been somebody else, it would have just been a standard bad guy. But
And Danny Houston, obviously, I think he steals the show. He's so good. I mean, and he's so good in everything.
Everybody in this is perfect. Everyone. All of the characters are perfect. They're all done by the perfect actor or actress or actor or whatever you want to call it. All the dialogue is fucking amazing. All of it.
Yeah. It's great.
And, you know, I guess the idyllic look of this Australian outback, you know, underdeveloped, you know, scenery is gorgeous. It's just beautiful, man. Like there's no like wasted shots in this. You know, without it being like an overbearing part of the movie, they do a very good job of like showing how the Aborigines were treated in this time. I mean, they were just not treated well, and you know, they touch on it and show you enough of it without it being like ultimately the focus of the movie. And the violence, and it's not overly violent. It's not like, you know, it's just like constant stuff happening. But when it does happen, it is done extremely well. It's very palatable. You can, like when that dude gets his head shot and it just kind of pops. It's just an awesome shot, dude.
Yeah. Nick Cave actually wrote Lawless too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a talented dude, man. He's done a lot of good. He did Hell or High Waters soundtrack, Wind Rivers, and there's a lot of hint. And if you've listened to Wind Rivers, you can hear it in the whispering, and it's just good. Like the soundtrack.
And it happens in this too.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's all around a very good movie that a lot of people.
Question. Here was my question I was going to ask about this movie. Had this been a Hollywood production with all the same people in it that took place somewhere in this country, would this movie have been a much higher scale? Like, would it have been, I guess, more acclaimed than this was simply because it was Australian?
More of an Oscar movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think it would have been up there with some other movies? I think it possibly could. I think it was that good.
Well, I think if it would have been done by anybody besides these guys, it would not have been the same movie.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, this same movie, but taking place in America.
Oh, sure. Like, yeah,
you know,
like rewriting this movie, like Vanilla Sky, like rewriting this movie.
Well, you don't have to rewrite all of it, but...
I think God does say something more like the movie Savages that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
With Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I don't think but it wouldn't, because there's just something about Australian movies.
Yeah.
Like they just have this sort of attitude to them. I can't really explain it other than there's just this sort of, like I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just the country and the temperature and.
Well, like
whenever. How everybody's covered in flies in this movie.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The scene where they're whipping the kid, dude, and it just shows I mean, I'm not talking like 15 flies. I'm talking like 1,500 flies.
I wonder how they did that. Like, you know me, I love like film stuff, but
that's just how it is there.
So who came up with that detail and made sure there had to have been an animal wrangler making sure that all those flies. So those flies were probably, you know, unscreened and dumped on these people, and they probably had something on their clothes to keep those flies there. But did you see the one where when what's his name? John Hurt. When John Hurt's dying, and they're on that close-up, and he's doing like this, he's talking like this, and there's a fly literally walking over over his face, and I'm just like, look at that. Like, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
They flying in their mouths, going in their mouths, and they're just, you know, that was such a crazy detail to the movie.
Yeah.
You know, this movie right here, this movie is the perfect example of what this podcast is about. When we started doing this podcast, now we stray off and we do, mainstream because a lot of people want to hear us talk about mainstream. Yeah, sure. But when we started this, it was the podcast about the movies you'd never heard of but you must see. This is one of those. This is a perfect example of why we started this podcast.
a lot of people have probably never heard of
Never
this,
heard
much
of this
less
movie.
watched it, and they're missing a straight gem, dude. It is one of the best westerns that's been made in any country in the last 25 years. Period.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
It's really good.
It's a must-see.
100% must see.
Must-see. All right, well, with that, what else did we watch besides that?
Hold up.
Nothing but pretty.
Special guest.
Oh, we do have a special guest today. River is here.
River Lane, everybody! Yay!
Hercules! A little Hercules! Wait, shuffle.
Get out of the way.
Hold on a second. Let me introduce what we're doing. All right, so River's here. He did not watch The Proposition, but we did.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The movies he's getting ready to review, there's going to be
It's a little bit questionable.
people are going to be out there going, man, golly, dude, what's happening with the parents these days? So, anyway, he's here. He's going to review, but let's get into it, man. Who wants to start? What'd you watch? It's been 2 weeks since the last podcast, so I know somebody's seen something. All right. Well, you, River,
Let River go.
Yeah, let him go.
Now use your words. Go ahead.
I have no notes, so I'm going to have to get top of the head. First movie I watched was Whiplash. And I watched it about 2 weeks ago, and I've watched it like 5 times since then.
Ooh.
And I love it. I used to do drumming, and it's just like an obsessed artist film. That he wants to be the best, and
he wants to be the best and has the absolute worst teacher or best teacher on the face of the planet.
The best to get him to do what he does.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It's an awesome movie.
It
It's
really
one of my
is.
favorites. I love it.
Yep. What else you say?
And then I watched A House of a Thousand Corpses.
Whoa!
Oh, don't look at me!
God
I didn't tell him to do it. He just
You're the
snuck
one who
on-
allowed me to do it.
No, he snuck on Apple and started watching it. I didn't do that.
All right.
You're-
Time out, family. Time out.
And
What'd you think about it?
I don't even know.
Come on, talk. Yes.
I didn't love it. It was okay. It wasn't the best, but I mean.
Did you like Captain Spaulding?
He's the best part. Every
As long
time-
as you came away from that movie having an appreciation of Captain Spaulding, then I guess it did its job, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And every time Spaulding would say something, I'd kind of look over and he'd be laughing. I mean, that's right. And when the movie was over, he's like, the whole reason we came up to this was Rob Zombie was, we were talking in the car and it was playing. And he asked me about it, and I kind of explained what I explained on the podcast last time. And I was like, he makes movies for a certain amount of people, and these people really like his movies. You know what I mean? Like, he's just got this thing.
And you're one of them now.
Well, I'm not
if
one of
memory
them.
serves, right, Lee?
I'm not one of them.
right.
I have turned over a new leaf. Yes, I am, what's the word?
Wishy-washy?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I'm just messing with you.
No, it's fine. I don't know. I just gave him a hard time, and I just know maybe if I start thinking about, like I told him, he's making a movie. It's like, me of all people should never judge somebody for making a movie, because that's all I really want to do, and I haven't made one. So for me to say that Rob Zombie's movies suck is not really fair, because, I mean, it's not really fair for me to say that anybody's movies suck, besides possibly, like, you know, Mel Gibson, because he's got all the money in the world and he can do whatever he wants. But any independent movie, it's pretty crappy for me to say it sucked, because I mean, at least they're making them. But he got up and he said he was pretty disappointed. Oh, but what did you not like about it? Just loud? Was it loud? I mean,
It was just all over the place to me. I don't know. It just didn't seem. It didn't seem like they had something that they could have made a lot better than what it was.
I think when they put the people down into the Dr. Satan pit and the zombies come out, it turns into a completely different movie. It goes from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre to the gate or some shit. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I have an appreciation of it because, you know, as a dude that was making weird rock and roll music, and then they're like, hey, he's going to do this movie. It's a lot of throwback to old horror.
Agreed.
And I'm fine with that, dude. I mean, is it great? No, but like I said before, it birthed Captain Spaulding, and he's an icon.
Right.
So,
Plus, it also has the line of dialogue, "Who are you, Jimmy Olsen, reporter for the Daily Asshole?" which I've probably said 50 times. I probably quoted that 50 times since the movie came out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good stuff in there.
Sure.
But also there's some, like Garrick said, there's some stuff that makes no sense.
Well, and I guess the biggest indictment on Rob Zombie for me and maybe other people, maybe it's where Garrick was, is it's like you see A House of a Thousand Corpses and then you see like his fifth movie and it's the same. You know what I mean? It's
They're
like
all the same.
Like the look and the feel and the way the dialogue is, it never really evolved. And I
It's
guess
almost-
that's not really a knock on him. It's just like, that's why I don't really like much of his other stuff.
Right, and with my newfound likeness for Rob Zombie, I have to say that Lords of Salem is probably his best movie, merely because there's a reason, merely because it's the only one that isn't the same movie. It's a little bit different. I will never watch. That's not saying anything. I would never watch Lords of Salem again. But I'm just saying he tried to do something a little bit different with that one than he has for the rest. Anyway,
I'll give you that. Sure.
you know, whatever. We're either bashing or praising this guy every week. Let's get off on what else you got.
I liked Hereditary. That was my main. That was like one of my favorite horror movies. And then today I watched Midsummer.
Lee's favorite movie. I can't wait to hear about this.
And
Be honest.
I mean, it was okay.
No.
It was okay.
Let me quote you.
Let's get a little riff quote
This.
out on the airwaves.
Okay, it's over. I really liked it.
I really liked it, but it was like, it wasn't as good as Hereditary.
Okay, agreed. But so you really liked it. It wasn't just okay.
Yeah.
You just like
You make up stuff all the time. You tell me it's good, and then you come on here and say, "Oh, it was terrible."
I just do that for entertainment.
I guarantee it. If you listen,
I just do that for the entertainment purposes. You mind your business, or you won't come out.
if you like those kind of movies, I would implore you to go find an old horror movie. It's from 1973 called The Wicker Man, and that is a real movie, a very original take on the same kind of thing, like these odd cults. So know where those movies that you like came from, because to me they were straight rip-offs.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Because
Lee
I
has
love that.
nothing to say about Midsommar.
It's doing great.
And the only reason you're not getting ripped to shreds is because you're my son and you're young.
It's
No, it's because if he got enjoyment out of it, that's the only thing that
That's
matters.
all that matters. That's right.
That's true. And that's coming from Lee, who's like, movies are for entertainment, they're not for art. Art! Did I blow your ears out?
You obviously did, because you can't hear it. Okay, there we go.
I just made him damn with my farts. Is that it? Oh, so now let me do next, because we went to the Golden Ticket and watched Black Widow and watched Space Jam.
Okay.
So here's some funny stuff. Space Jam may be one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and Black Widow may be my favorite Marvel movie I've ever seen. Yes, hey, he'll agree. It was really good, man. It was really, really good. It helped a lot that it had Scarlett and Florence in it, but it was really good. You should check it out. No? What was your take on it?
It's probably. I'm still thinking about it because I still think that Winter Soldier is the best one, but it's close. It's really good, but like I don't think you'll ever pass Winter Soldier though. I don't know.
Man, Space Jam looked great. Of course it looked great. They did 2-dimensional and 3D animation. It's great. But LeBron, man, LeBron is so bad that he ruins the movie, I think. I think his acting is so bad and the premise is so bad that it ruins the movie.
I'm utterly shocked.
I can sense sarcasm.
So you're telling me that, like, had Shaquille O'Neal not starred in Steel, that you would have had a story there, like same kind of a thing, that he ruined it? No. It was a shit story. It wouldn't matter if you put Laurence Olivier in it. It's a garbage fest. What are you even talking about?
I don't know. You're right. So
Why was it ever even remade?
You're exactly right. It is up there with the Jerky Boys as one of my least favorite things I've ever put
I think
on.
we need to watch I think we should at some point.
Should we review the Jerky Boys?
We're gonna have to find it. We're gonna have to dig it up.
It's discontinued.
We gotta find it.
You're gonna have to find it on VHS tape. I bet Lee's got it.
I actually don't have it.
Anymore. He probably
Yeah.
He probably had
Sold
it.
it at the Flea
I
Market.
still say the Jerky Boys movie, and this is my memory from 1996. It is a movie about two guys making prank phone calls, so I really don't know what everybody expected.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
you've
people were like,
said
"Holy
this to me.
shit!" Like, I mean, it was never gonna be the fucking, it's not the Fifth Element. It's two guys making prank phone calls. I mean, the fact that it's a movie at all is amazing.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about the Evil Dead that we watched?
That was last time.
Oh, you talked about that?
All right. Well, so yeah, you're right. And agreed. And I guess it's kind of the same argument with Space Jam. If you're not into LeBron and you're not into Space Jam, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
What did you expect? Kids that love LeBron probably think that this movie's awesome. What you were all intense in.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it, but I didn't like it.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate.
All right. Well, I watched something, and this is gonna be. Here you go.
They got your money, nevertheless, whether you liked it or not.
No, well, they didn't, because thank you for our sponsor, Golden Ticket. We get it for free. So I didn't. Well, I spent money driving the kids up there to see it.
Somebody got your money.
Somebody. So I watched the movie, and here we go. I guess I'm going to be wishy-washy again, because as I just said, independent film, independent film is independent film.
Okay.
Okay, well, Fangoria, I believe we did the last movie that came out from Fangoria. It had Rebecca Romaine, Stamos.
The Satan
Satan's
Suckfest.
Satanic Panic.
There it is.
Well, Fangora's latest independent scrub is a movie called Porno. It's on Shudder, and it's literally about 5 teens in a small Christian town working at the local theater who find a can of film, and they play it, and it brings out satanic porno. And it may be one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life.
Question.
The only
Worse than Space Jam starring LeBron James?
No.
Okay.
I think that this movie I would be more appreciative of this movie if it was better. But my biggest problem is the only cool scene. She explodes his penis, and they show it. They pull his pants down, and they show his exploded balls have splattered all over his legs, and his penis is there, and I'm like, ah! I mean, I literally jumped. Now,
Good job, buddy.
what is happening with where is Fangoria? How are they deciding these movies that they're making?
Probably a roulette wheel, it sounds like.
I guess, yeah. I really don't know. I mean, I have no idea. Because I've only seen Satanic Panic. I haven't seen Porno. And I didn't even watch the trailer for Porno. It just didn't sound particularly interesting. So, I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, well, and it's crazy because it won the Archie Award for Best Feature, First Feature. Keala Risala. It was at South by Southwest, the Grand Jury Award. Oh, it's a nominee for narrative feature, and then Midnight Extreme. I don't know. I can't even pronounce it. Some stupid film festival. This is not good. Like, it's not good at all, man. And I just wonder. This is 2 Fangoria movies in that are going exclusive to Shudder that are not. They're just not good. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
If you need writers, hit us up.
I know, man. I just am so frustrated.
We can write something better than that.
I'm so frustrated with all this right now. It's just crazy. Anyway, that's my thing. If you want to slog through an hour, 28-minute movie called Porno, about an hour in, a guy's penis gets exploded, his balls get exploded, and they actually show it, and it may be the most disgusting 3 seconds you'll see, and it's pretty impressive. Other than that, it's shit. It sucks.
But memorable for that.
But yes, but I'll always remember the exploding balls.
Okay, that's something.
That should be the quote on the DVD.
There you go.
Stay for an hour and watch the exploding balls. I mean, the dialogue's terrible. Everything's terrible. It makes no sense. It's. I don't know. It's frustrating for a guy like me who I just don't understand where they're making these movies and why they're making them and who's funding them, and I don't know. Anyway, everybody's tired of hearing my bipolar rant on filmmaking, so I'll just shut up. Go ahead.
Lee, you ready? You want me to go? What you got?
I'll go real quick. Bonnie, not Netflix, Redbox, the movie, random horror movie called The Nest. And all I'm going to say about it is if I was ever on death row and they gave me my last request, it would be to rewatch The Nest, because watching that movie felt like it was taken for fucking ever. It was an hour and a half, but I swear I sat there for 4.5 hours.
Oh, hate that.
It was just it was terrible. It was just terrible.
It was that bad. God, the poster looked good. Like, I saw that on Facebook.
Oh no, it's atrocious. It's yeah. I don't know. It's like the world's worst episode of The Outer Limits. It's just like, oh, it's so bad. I just couldn't believe how terrible it was. The acting was just unbelievably bad.
Wow.
And for the day before, on last weekend
hold on real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Why did she choose that movie? Was it because of the poster?
Yeah, the poster. It was a horror movie.
It looked good. The poster made it look really good. There you go.
They put way more effort into the poster than they did the movie.
That's because that's the sale. Make a good poster and a good DVD cover, and you could sell your movie.
Exactly, and so they got $1.80 out of us. So, but it was terrible. And after that, we went and saw. For her birthday, we went and saw the Cruella movie. But I'll get into the movie in a second. But we went to a theater about 20 minutes away from us. I've never been there before. It's in Tryon, North Carolina, and it's a movie theater from 1938. I've never been in a movie palace before where it's just one giant screen. And we sat in the balcony. It was. I would definitely go back to this theater because I've never been in one of those old timey movie theaters before.
Oh wow, yeah. So it's really nice, like a really nice. How was the sound?
Nice.
How was the sound system?
Very good, and I'll get into that in a minute because Cruella. It's not a terrible movie, but it has over 30 needle drops. It is wall to wall. Just songs playing on the soundtrack. Sometimes there's more than one needle drop in a scene. I mean, Disney must have spent $5 million just on licensing the music.
That's what somebody said. Now, what was it? Was it a good part of the movie? Did it make sense?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really get the point of the movie anyway. I mean, Cruella de Vil from the 101 Dalmatians cartoon, she's a woman that wants to skin puppies. So I don't really get the purpose of making this movie like in the beginning. I don't know. It's not for me. I'm not the audience of this movie. Like when you make these characters, obviously Disney wanted to make a Joker, the Joker from a couple years ago. They wanted to make a villain origin story, and it's just a very odd movie. You know, because in 101 Dalmatians, she wants to murder a bunch of puppies and make a coat out of them. You know, so
yeah,
I don't know. It's not for me. It's very it's Craig Giuseppe, the guy who did I, Tonya. He's a very talented guy. The movie looks great. Why Mark Strong is a butler in this movie, I have no idea. But I don't know. It's just, I'm gonna chalk it up to just me not being the audience of it. I don't particularly like Disney cartoons. I don't particularly like this type of movie. I don't know.
But it's all gothic kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's very modern aged.
Well, it takes place in the late 70s in London. But I mean, like, you know, there's an Iggy Pop song, there's a Rolling Stones song, there's a Fleetwood Mac song. It's just like, you know, it's wall to wall music. For not being a musical, it has more music than most musicals.
Wow. All right.
I mean, and I don't really understand the purpose of that, other than
did Bonnie like it?
She liked it. She enjoyed it. That's the main point.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Well, I just wonder if I'm sure that'll be a movie that my daughters would probably appreciate.
Right.
Because it's probably girl power, you know, it's that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's wall-to-wall girl power. I mean, there's so many other Disney characters they could have made that movie about, as opposed to, you know,
her.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
I thought she bought it. She bought the 30 thing on Disney Plus, and I watched 5 minutes of it. I didn't know.
Yeah, $30 on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. I think I'll wait.
Yeah. The tickets at the Triumph Theater were much cheaper.
Oh yeah, right. I can imagine. What'd you see, Doug? Was that all you saw?
That's all I saw.
I had, you know, sometimes you fall into a good week of watching stuff that, you know, you revisit something or you see some stuff that you hadn't seen yet. And I had, for the most part, a really good week. I finally, and I think I've talked about it on here, man, I have not watched one Robin Williams movie since he killed himself. And I was flipping through Prime, and I saw my favorite, probably one of my favorite movies, not only just by him, but I just love this fucking movie so much. The Fisher King, Terry Gilliam's fucking masterpiece from 1991 with Robin Williams and
Jeff Bridges.
I just love it.
Pre-Lebowski Jeff Bridges.
I just love it so much, man.
It's a good.
I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. Everything about it, man. I just loved it. And I only teared up like twice. So that was pretty good. I didn't know exactly how I would feel watching it. Especially some of the scenes like where he's like train wrecking. I was like, am I going to be able to, you know, stomach this or whatever? And it was great, man. It's one of my faves. It's been in my top 10 for 30 years.
Very good movie.
Yeah,
it really
I fucking love it.
That's on Prime, right?
It is on Prime. On Hulu, I found an interesting documentary called Sasquatch. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a 3-part, like hour-long documentary. Basically, and I think it happens in like early 90s. I don't remember exactly when. Maybe 93. This dude who now is an investigative reporter, he was working on a weed farm in California in Humboldt County. And he was in this house, you know, with these other guys. And these 2 guys came busting in the middle of the night. And they were like, man, you know, all this stuff got trashed, but it wasn't a steal job, like, because all the stuff is still there, man, but these dudes are dead, and they're like, ripped apart. You know, and the guy's like, Sasquatch did this. And so this guy, like, you know, 30 years later, has always been thinking about this story and decides to investigate what actually happened. And it's a really, really interesting and well-done documentary. I really, really liked it. It's 3 hours long. It probably didn't need to be 3 hours, 3 episodes. But the payoff is very good.
Do you believe that there's a Sasquatch?
That's not what it's. Just check it out.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
Then I rented a couple of. I guess they're not. Well, one of them is a very new release, and the other one I went to go rent Nobody, and it was out, and so I start flipping through the thing and stumbled upon Promising Young Woman. It's a movie that I had wanted to see since I, read a little bit about it, with Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham. It's original and dark and funny, and I fucking loved it, dude. I
heard it was great.
I loved just about every single thing about it, man. And I would put it up against any new release that I've seen in the last year. That's how good
it was up for an Oscar, wasn't it? I think it was up for an Oscar, yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, Garrick, you would like it because of the way it looks, and Lee, I'm telling you, I think you would like it just because of what it is. It is a very unique twist on vengeance, and I've just loved it, dude. It's very unique, very original. Like, I'm telling you, man, I highly recommend this one to both of you. It's the best thing I've seen probably this year.
Really?
Just from what it is to how it goes and the originality of it, man, it's that good, dude. I really, really liked it.
All right. Yeah, it's on my list to watch.
And then when I took it back, Nobody was there.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So I rented Nobody by some Russian dude whose name I didn't write down because it had too many letters. Starring Bob Odenkirk, who's one of my favorites. And, man, damn it. I think I wanted this to be great so bad, and it just isn't. It's just not.
You watched this too, didn't you, Lee?
I did. I know exactly what Doug's saying, though.
It's
the movie. The trailer is not really the movie.
Right. That isn't what bothered me the most, because a lot of it, like the first act, I was fine with. Part of the second act was really cool, but like what seems to keep happening in these movies, the same thing that I don't like about like the newer John Wicks. It's like over explanation. Like there's a scene in this where Odenkirk, some stuff happens and he's like, I'm gonna go get into this, and he goes into this room with these guys, these tattoo artists, and they're all giving him the stink eye, like we're about to bust this dude up, and he kind of has his hand like this, and you just see this very small like tattoo of playing cards on his wrist, and one of the tattoo guys who's that obviously more than just that sees that, and he's like, oh nope, I'm good, sorry sir, and like leaves the room. You never needed any more explanation than that about his character.
Right.
But from that moment on, it's like they just went out of their way to over-explain it. And by the time the third act comes, man, I really just wanted it to end. Look, I love Doc Brown. I love the RZA. But what I didn't need to see is them running around with shotguns at the end of this movie, like in this big violent scene that was just, it was like laughable. By the time the movie ended, I just wanted it I was like, man, damn it.
The final action scene it doesn't really fit in the tone of the movie.
It was so disappointing. It almost felt like some dude directed it for the first 40 minutes and then somebody else directed it to the end. And,
I hate movies like that.
It was very repetitive. It's like, he gets on this bus and they're playing this like slow music and it's like this slow motion fighting, and then the next time something happens, the same thing, and it's like you're inundated with this same bullshit, and I just didn't like it like I wanted to. And I started against my better mindset. I started a movie that's on Netflix that's getting hyped up, this Gunpowder Milkshake. I made it about 25 minutes into it, and I was like, I'm not watching this bullshit, because it's almost the same thing. It's like a mix between this and like The Kingsman, but with ladies.
Yeah.
It was a shit show the little bit I saw of it. So that's all.
It looks so promising.
Well, it's not. It's the opposite of promising.
It looks about as promising as Goodwill Jousting.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's next week? what do you?
Are we doing the good, the bad, the weird next week?
Sure, let's do it. All right, we're doing
yeah. Then we'll end it on open range.
Sounds good to me. So there you go. The good, the bad, the weird, and then open range. All right, I got to do a very selfish promotion here. Shameless self-promotion is actually what I'm trying to say. I have been working since COVID, shooting some content with Ridge Journal and Explore Asheville, where I'm traveling around to different trails and different little gyms around North Carolina, and we shoot hiking, and we talk about the environment and people's footprints on these trails, and we show you some really good places to go on the weekend. It's called Adventure Lane. The first episode dropped 2 weeks ago. It's out on YouTube, but Facebook at Ridge Journal. You can see it at my website. The next episode is dropping tomorrow. So, hey, guys, come out, show some support. It's the exact opposite of sitting at home and watching movies. It's getting outside and, doing a 5-mile hike up a mountain and checking out some vistas. But the YouTube page for it is, my YouTube page, if you want to show some support, is YouTube/user Garrick L. My name with my last name initial. So anyway, check it out. It's Adventure Lane. They're just little 3-minute videos. I cut them. Somebody else shot them, and they're gonna be making their way through the North Carolina websites and travel websites and things like that. So
very cool.
Yeah. So our four listeners, go subscribe. All right, well, that's it for this week. We just watched The Proposition. Again, you must see it. It's one of those. It's the exact reason that we've made this podcast is this kind of movie. And we will see you next week with The Good, the Bad, the Weird.